I am conducting a video tactical session on a steel structure building, 50 by 200, 14 feet high. It has an office on the Alpha Bravo corner, overhead doors on the Alpha side, no doors on Bravo Delta. I'm being told there's heavy black smoke showing, and I'm being told that the building has sprinklers and standpipes. I'll be running this as a company officer, and I have 10 minutes to run the scene. I'm going to start a timer now and follow along with my time as I go and be presenting this in the best possible manner in a generic fire department. I am going to assume that most fire departments have a similar dispatch model, and that there's 4 people responding on any suppression unit and 3 people responding on any medical unit. With that, I'll go ahead and begin. I'm responding as a company officer to a significant incident of reports of fire in a steel structure. Now, as soon as the bell rings, I'm going to pull upon my knowledge of the area, the territory, traffic patterns, and what I know from my pre-fire planning experience. I'm also thinking of the knowledge of my crews, the training that we've done together, and the fact that as a company officer in this department, I'm very confident and knowledgeable about the strategy and tactics and the operating procedures of these types of fires. Now, after receiving the alarm, I will acknowledge the dispatch that our unit is en route. I will take the rip and run sheet and start looking at the time of day, knowing whether the building is occupied or not based on that time of day information. I will also look at the other units responding. I note that I am due to be first in. I'm going to make sure my crew is seat belted, appropriately in the apparatus, and that they all know the expectations that I have of them. I'll make sure the driver has the appropriate address, and we'll start en route. I will not acknowledge whether the other units are responding from, what their estimated times of arrival are, and I will listen to the radio for any additional updates. I will call dispatch and find out if they've had other calls, how many calls have come in, is there any audible alarms ringing, is there any more information that would assist me, such as any evacuations already in place, and any reports from an alarm company that a monitoring service has noted systems detecting an alarm. Now, once I'm en route, I'm going to make sure that we take the safest and most efficient manner there, avoid any areas of constructions, school zones, traffic patterns, and make sure that we can get there as soon as possible. Upon arrival, I'm going to conduct a 360. I'm going to note that there's heavy black smoke showing. I'm going to note the size of the structure, and I'm going to give a report stating the conditions found. Heavy black smoke pushing from the structure, overhead doors on the Alpha side. I'm going to try to do a 360 as best as possible and establish command. I will be known as Steel Structure Command. I'm going to advise our strategy, which at this point will be offensive. And I'm going to advise that I'm going into the mobile or fast attack mode while retaining command responsibilities. At this point, due to what I'm seeing on scene, I'm going to go ahead and activate a second alarm. I'm going to make sure I obviously continue all first responding units responding. The second alarm will stage 1 block uphill and upwind in a safe location. We will identify a staging tactical channel and a staging area manager, which will be by default the first arriving company officer in staging. The goal of staging is to maintain a minimum of 1 of every type of unit available at all times, and to have a ready reserve of units to be able to respond up to the scene and be activated quickly. At this time, I am going to secure a subject matter expert. I want a building manager. I'm being told that a forklift caught on fire and may have exploded, which would explain the heavy black smoke. Now, based on this, I'm also going to dispatch the hazardous materials team to deal with any propane, fuel leaks, or other chemicals. I want this subject matter expert to conduct a roll call of all people known to be in the building, including that forklift operator. I will establish a safe staging area for all the walking wounded to be cohabitated, and I will assign a company officer from the first alarm to assist them and evaluate them. I also want that subject matter expert to bring me any material safety data sheets, maps, blueprints, any other information pertaining to the structure. I will keep him in my hip pocket at all times in the command post. I will make sure that I identify the last known location of that forklift and also the layout inside of this structure. How are the wares stored there and stacked there? At this point, I will also call for all additional resources that I need. I will call for a safety officer, which will come with the second alarm. It'll be the 2nd District Chief. I will establish my command staff of a public information officer, a safety officer, and a liaison officer to deal with all outside agencies. I will dispatch police to establish a 2-block perimeter in all directions, allowing inbound and outbound egress for all of my units, especially the ambulances and rescue units that may have to transport. I will assure that I establish an EMS group to handle all of the EMS functions that will be under the EMS captain. I will dispatch and notify all 3 utilities, electric, gas, and water, electric and gas to control utilities in the structure, and the water company to identify hydrant mains, sizes, locations, and to boost pressure if necessary. I will continue dispatching all other resources needed to the scene, such as collapse experts and people that have tools and equipment that I may need. In addition, at this point, a good incident commander will establish his incident priorities. My incident priorities at this steel structure are the life safety of all personnel involved in this incident, as well as my firefighters. Incident stabilization, which will involve securing the fire, confining and extinguishing the fire to the forklift or the area of origin, and also mitigating any propane or leaks. It may be as simple as stopping the propane leak to put this fire out. And then property conservation. It'll be my goal to maintain this building in business as soon as possible. I also want to make sure that I establish economic impact and limit that as much as possible. I want to preserve evidence, and I want to make sure that there is no environmental impact due to the smoke or any other leaks coming from this area. I will accomplish these incident priorities by identifying my strategic goals of rescue, primarily the victims closest to the fire. Exposure protection. So this 360 walk around being done by officers will identify any exposures, and I will prioritize them, such as based on distance, occupancy, collapse potential, and access that I have. I will make a decision at some point whether to attack the fire aggressively or to protect the exposures, depending on the extent and volume of fire that I find. I will make sure that we confine and extinguish the fire with appropriate sized hose lines, placement, and I'll make sure that at all times we're working from unburned towards burned. We bleed our nozzles outside, and we make sure that we limit any water damage unnecessarily. We will conduct overhaul when it is safe, and we'll do that with appropriate gear, air monitoring, tools, and equipment. We will salvage all records, equipment, inventory, and we will ventilate appropriately to make the fire attack much smoother. Now that I've told you my strategic goals, let me assign my tactical objectives. Being that I'm in fast attack mode, I will pass command to the next available unit, giving them a conditions, actions, and needs report. At this time, I will assign my crew to don full bunker gear, tools, and equipment, and pull the appropriate 1 3/4 pre-connected line, which will deliver 125 gallons per minute. We will do this by advancing it through the doors on the alpha side, working from the unburned towards the burned side. I will pass command to the next available truck company, and the next engine will lay me a 5-inch supply line and establish an ability to supply multiple trucks in case we need to go into a master stream operation. The first truck company will establish command. They will provide lights, ventilation, and they will provide multiple means of egress out of the building. I want them to ladder the building on the upwind side, preferably on a corner, to allow 2 means of access. The second truck company will handle all truck functions such as search and rescue and ventilation. We will consider, I'm being told there were no windows on some sides of the building. We will, in this type of building, consider horizontal ventilation, as I am very leery of putting people on the roof of this steel structure building. My EMS units will conduct search and rescue. The first rescue will be doing primary search. The second rescue will establish a medical group. All of these functions will be backed up by the second alarm units. We are hoping a district chief arrives in a reasonable amount of time and can establish a fixed formal command. The first arriving engine on the second alarm will establish rapid intervention team at the command post and maintain a strict 2 in and 2 out accountability at all times. We will establish groups and divisions for span and control mechanisms as necessary. Our goals will be to rescue all occupants that the subject matter expert has accounted for. Make sure we do this without endangering the lives of the firefighters. At this point, we will conduct primary and secondary searches, secondary search being done by different crews once all personnel are accounted for. We will establish our benchmarks of under control, of all clear, and loss stopped. At this point, we will start terminating the incident by pulling units out, conducting an on-scene debriefing, and establishing a schedule for a post-incident analysis to be conducted next duty day to measure positives and negatives on the scene and improve those skills. And I will make sure all reports are completed and appropriate command staff notified. I am confident this will successfully mitigate this fire at the steel building.